Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast, brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And you've been feeling a little under the weather, 10 Types, so hopefully your voice holds up. Otherwise, people are going to be forced to listen to me a lot more than they want to. So we'll see how this all goes. Last week we talked Pocket, and with two things, trading coming to the game and the new set, Space-Time Smackdown. At this point, there was the trading was a bit of a fiasco, a lot of negative feedback, and they've actually made a comment. So we'll talk about that for a couple minutes at the start. And now we've been playing with some of the new cards and playing against some of the decks. So we want to talk about the cards in more detail now, right? That's our plan for today.
Yeah, and now that you say, because I was thinking, I thought there wasn't that much negative feedback for trading, but I guess I'm just comparing it to live, which which has exclusively negative feedback that's really bad. So in terms of that, it's not as bad, but obviously trading people haven't been so happy about, and I haven't. I made a video kind of talking about it, and you did, and yeah, and then they made a letter, which is definitely a sign that things aren't perfect, probably.
Right. So there's a letter which they posted on X, formerly called Twitter, and I figure if you spend $44 billion for a company, you can rename it even if the name is stupid. So I'll try and call it X, but I think it causes confusion. But anyway, they crafted this letter, came out about 2 days later, so there was a lot of negative feedback, just in general, as well as in the forums, the online forums. There's a lot. So there's not a ton of information. It's vague what they say here, but they say they've received a large number of comments. Thank you for sharing your feedback. Now, negative comments, they don't say that, but that's what it means here. The item requirements and restrictions implemented for trading feature were designed to prevent abuse from bots and other prohibited actions using multiple accounts. And oh, by the way, they did issue a warning in game, like the day before trading, that people had been suspended for violating the terms of use, I believe, something along those lines. So I think that was a warning to people: watch out. We're keeping an eye on things. So they're concerned about abuse, and I get that. So our goal was to balance the game while maintaining a fair environment for all players and preserving the fun of collecting cards that is the core to the Pokemon TCG Pocket experience. Now, for people that are about playing the game like you and I are, and probably most of our listeners, the unfortunate truth is it's still a collecting card app first and foremost to them, which they just said here in this sentence, right? That's the that's the core of the game experience. So that's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. And in the IRL world, the fact collectors make it cheaper for players to get cards in the in-game online environment, it might make it more expensive. That's a bit of a funny dynamic. So thank you for the feedback. We understand some of the restrictions are preventing players being able to casually enjoy the feature as intended. So just when they say casually, is that that they're more non-paying people? I'm not sure. They're actively investigating ways to improve the feature to address these concerns. So they don't fully know what they're going to do. Going forward, though, they plan to offer multiple ways to obtain trade tokens, including through event distributions. They did give 500 trade tokens, but I think the day after trading came out, but I think that was the initial plan anyway. So the trade tokens, you need trade token. You have to have stamina, which recharges 1 stamina a day, and you use 1 stamina per trade. Then you also need trade tokens for 3 diamond, 4 diamond, and 1 star cards. And the cost, you have to get the tokens, you have to dust your cards, you have to exchange cards for it. So just within the EX, if you want to get 1 EX cards, you have to exchange 4 EXs to get enough trade tokens to do it. That's 500 exactly. And plus you need 1 card to trade. So it takes you 5 cards to get one card to trade, and your trade partner has to do the same thing. So to trade 2 cards or one trade, you need 8 cards have to be consumed, which is pretty cost prohibitive.
Yeah, and you can also use I think you only get rid of cards of what are the rarities? The 1 star, and then the 3 and 4 diamonds. Can you do higher rarities?
Yes, you can. You don't get any trade tokens from 1 or 2 diamond cards, but everything from 3 diamonds higher, including the non-tradable cards, you can convert those, exchange those as well. But I have like one Crown Rare card, and I don't have, and in amongst the two diamond and or my 3-star and 2-star cards, I don't have any that are exchangeable because you have to have at least 3 cards to exchange because you have to have 2 cards after the exchange still in your collection. So you have to have at least a third copy to exchange. So, I assume most people that aren't spending money don't have the real high rarity cards to exchange.
Yeah, that just mean like you can maybe make one trade slightly easier. But regardless, yeah, it's expensive. It makes sense that there's like some obviously restriction. Or there's a bunch of restrictions as well. There's also you can only trade cards of the same rarity.
Right.
And then it needs to be with friends, which we'll probably talk about some a little bit.
Yep.
And I think the hourglass or like the not the hourglass, the just the
Stamina.
time restriction thing. Yeah, I think that's fine. I haven't been paying too much attention to what people have been saying. I've certainly heard stuff, but I haven't heard all the different things. But I haven't really heard people complain about the time at all.
No, it's no. The people are fine with stamina, and that's already what's in place with the game, like with the wonder picks and such. So, and the opening pack, stamina is what they have, but now they added you need stamina plus a second currency, which we don't have in the game. So it's these trade tokens, I think, are the issue, and a lot of it's the expense of it. Like I said, I think if I have to spend 5 cards to get 1 card, I should just be able to. It should probably just be a dusting system, and I should just get the card I want. To me that's a lot to pay. So just give me the card. Because the other thing I want to talk about is you can only trade with friends, and you have to go to outside servers to do it. There's no way in the app to do it. Well, you can trade with your friends. I could make a trade with you, and I say what card I want to trade for. I want to trade a card I want to offer, but I don't have any idea what cards you have, and then you would just make an offer back with some random card, and then we could accept or decline. But you'd have to do that like 1,000 times before you actually got a trade you wanted that way. So you have to talk to people outside the game, which twofold. It gets to the issue of concerns with people selling cards, which they don't want to happen. Because once you have people talking on Discord servers, which I think is happening a lot of, it's easy. Like I want Pikachu EX, and I can trade a Wigglytuff EX for it. Well, Pikachu's really worth more. So if someone said I want some money plus your Wigglytuff, I can see that type of dynamic happening, which they don't want, and I get it. So, forcing people outside of the game will encourage that. The other thing is, I've been looking in the forums more frequently, I think, than you are, and the number of pages of trade requests is absurd. Number of posts. In fact, someone started one post to try to say, "Hey, let's have this one post with all the trades," and I looked at it earlier today. There were 30 pages of trades of saying, hey, I want this card, and here's my friend ID. But it also doesn't really tell you they often don't even say what cards they have to give. So it's this very messy system with the whole friends thing, since, that's also become very messy at the same time.
Yeah, I think there might be like wish lists and stuff. It's not very clear. And also I don't know. It's just not very clear. It could be much more friendly. I think it's in terms of just actually being clear what someone wants. Obviously, it could be more friendly in terms of price as well.
Yeah.
But I wish it would say you could tag cards, and then if for that you want or cards that you have for trade, and then if those line up, then it will like kind of highlight it for you, and or like for your friends or whatever, and then it will not necessarily like auto trade for you, but it'll like say, oh, you could make this trade, and that's something that'll be good for you in both your interests, and that would be allow people to actually get cards that they want. And trading is supposed to be, they said like the casual audience, because trading is something that's kind of more, I think, fun. Crafting a card's not really fun. I mean, I guess it's cool to get cards you want. Like, I guess I enjoy crafting the card because then I get to play the card that I just got. Like recently, I just crafted a card that I wanted to play with, and it's fun.
Yep.
But yeah, trading is like something cool you can do, which the appeal of it is that you're actually not really spending anything, though. You're like giving away stuff that you don't need, but now you're not. That's not what's happening here. Instead, it's that you're like spending a ton of resources, which is not really trading. It's just like it's like
Yeah.
buying, as you said. It's kind of just like the way the crafting system works. or
Right.
what with the pack points thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like to make a trade of Pokemon cards, you have to go to a store, a physical store, and then you and your friend both go, and you have to give each of you has to give the store 4 copies of a comparable card each before you can make the trade. And that would obviously not sit well with people, right? You just wouldn't do that. So obviously we don't have a choice but to do it inside the app. They have that control, but it just doesn't seem fair. Your suggestion of now, one of the things is in PTCGO, the old online client for the TCG, it had in-game trading. It was a bit of a mess, or it was a big mess. So we don't
Yeah,
want
that was not with just friends though.
to. Right.
That was I believe it was all the trades right on the entire game. We were
Well,
just right there.
it had 2 things. One, it had a list of trades where you'd post things, which unfortunately that's kind of what's happening in like the live forum, and I think in all these Discord servers.
Yeah,
So
that's what it sounds like.
and then you have to like I see because like I'd like to get some cards, but I also the whole trading system seems very unfun. I don't want to spend hours digging through these posts to to work. It seems like work that I'm not going to enjoy,
Yeah. I
unfortunately.
mean, I think you should do it with like your actual friends.
Yeah,
Like if you like we traded,
right.
you were like, oh, let's trade, and you were like, oh, I need this card, and I was like, I need this card, and then we traded. It was for the one of the lower rarities, and it was free. Well,
Yep.
used stamina, but it was free. And we got stuff we needed that way, and it wasn't that complicated. Though also there's like Pocket has a lot of like menus, or I don't know if menus is the right term, like animations you kind of have to like mash through to get the trade done, and it's not like that quick.
Yeah.
Because I guess I send it to you, I send the one card, then you like send it back, and then like I accept it. I
Y-
think it's 3 things. There might be more, and
Yeah.
then you like mash through all this stuff as well to get to the end goal, which is like I don't know. I feel like it could be faster. You don't just want people making trades by accident, obviously, but still, it is something that is I don't know. It's something that it does feel a little clunky too.
Yeah, yeah. Look, your suggestion about marking cards in PTCO, there was that aspect too. I think with people because you had friends in PTCGO, and then you could mark cards in your collection that were for trade, and I think you could mark cards you wanted, and then you could see in your friends' collections what things were too. That wasn't used as much, at least not by myself, but I think they had that. It's is that's not a bad feature. The thing I was thinking of is we should be able to see our friends' card collection. You maybe there'll be a toggle switch to say make it so my friends can see my cards, but that way if I could look at your cards, I can see okay, you have XX copies of this card. I need of a card that I need, and you don't have enough copies of this, so I can just take a look at your collection, compare mine and yours, and get it out. I think there should be some way in the app to do some pairing, so we don't have to go outside. Is one thing. How to do it, it is too many steps as well, and then I think it is too expensive. I don't know if they're going to make it cheaper in terms of the whole exchange system, but they're going to at least give out trade tokens on some sort of a semi-regular basis. I don't know how many, how often, time will tell, but they're concerned. I mean, I get it. They're concerns, right? Because like I could start a secondary account and you get an EX right away. And if I was able to then just trade that EX, because I still don't have a second executor EX, right? So I could start a new account, pick the Charizard pack, I get an executor, and if I could trade it without any restrictions, boom, I'd get that card immediately. And they don't want that type of thing. So it's a balancing act, and obviously they are looking to monetize. I get it. The other thing that there's also a lot of negative feedback on not trading rare cards because there's a good number of people spending big money on it and they want to get those rare cards. So I'm not sure what they're going to do about that in the future, but I think
And I don't know why that's not in the game. Like I feel like I mean, yes, I guess it encourages people to spend more money. I guess that's just the reason why. But I feel
mhm,
like it's just rounding out your collection, and you want to keep the people who are spending lots of money happy,
right,
and you still have to spend a bunch of money. And then you get stuff. You can actually like reach the end goal in a more like I guess fun way rather than just crafting the cards, which I think is less as I was kind of talking about this before. It's a little less like satisfying than just trading for it, especially
yeah,
if you are collecting, say, like with a friend.
yeah. Oh, and no, that's a good point, right? Like if you're trying to get like a 2 crown rares of a card, you're going to have to open potentially thousands of packs before you pull the 2 crown rares you want. So at some point, being able to trade for that, I get that. So they need to find the balance there. Look, I also think, and I've heard other people say it too, and the online comments. I think maybe they should get rid of trade tokens altogether, and probably take it for higher rare cards. Right now everything's one stamina, but make it so it takes multiple staminas. Make it so it takes
Yeah, that would make sense.
like 3 staminas to trade an EX, because that's the way it is for the Wonder Picks as well, right? So I could trade 1 EX every 3 days. I still have to have 1 EX in my collection to trade. So that's probably kind of a fair thing also. I think that there's multiple things they can do. They're going to have to kind of come up with a plan, and we'll see what that is going forward.
Yeah, I think things are, Pocket's been like the Pocket team's been decently responsive. I mean, they're doing this letter. They're like active, I guess, within the game. Like they say stuff. There are lots of events, and there's just content, and that's good. So I have like I guess I have hopes. I was gonna say a lot of like the letters they send. Obviously, it's just announcements, which I guess is like letters, but it's not like as personal as like this letter thing. But the rest of the things are all like taking action in response to inappropriate conduct and stuff like that. I think that's the cheating one, or the abuse of the system by like trading, like spending money one, but it might not be.
Right.
Regardless, there's I guess a bunch of things like that, which isn't necessarily hopeful for the future. But generally, I'm like excited for the future of Pocket because I think the team's more than competent, which is nice to be able to say. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, no, they've done a really good job with Pocket, so I am hopeful it's going to get resolved. I'm obviously not. I'm a lot less hopeful that Live's going to get resolved, right? Because that hasn't played out the same. But Pocket's done a good job. The biggest concern is this is a money situation. It's a big cash cow, I think, for them, and that's fine. Hey, they've done a good job developing their brand. Are they going to squeeze out budget players? And obviously, look, even if without trading, the in-game economy is still pretty decent, right? Because I think we're about ready to jump to the new set, right?
Yeah.
So with the new set, it dropped just a couple days ago, and I've gotten at this point, what Space-Time Smackdown? To me, it's a bit of a silly name, but whatever. I guess Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like weird as well. Like it feels kind of off-brand.
Yeah.
Like I've said this, it like seems kind of wrestling-y. And I guess I don't really know much about wrestling. And then also it the hyphen seems weird. Maybe that's like not weird. Maybe that's a thing in other sets, but I can't think of any sets that's like regular TCG sets that's in. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through, and that's not really a thing. But maybe they are trying to separate themselves. I mean, there's the different like packs within the packs, which is really cool, which is actually in the Japanese sets. So in some ways, this actually feels more similar to the Japanese set names. It's hard to kind of say what's different about them, but just looking through, you got like Future Flash, Snow Hazard, Paradigm Trigger. These just, I don't know, something, and these obviously, that's not in Japanese, it's the translation, but it kind of sounds like that, which is like cool. And it's not like the sets, it's not like the weird set name or anything like that.
No. Yeah, I do think it's going a bit in more the Japanese naming convention. I think it kind of has that
which
feel
makes
to
sense because it's by that company as opposed to TPCI.
Right, which is a positive. So what I want to say, because in terms of getting cards just through pack opening stuff, the in-game economy is pretty decent. The new set's only been out a few days at the time of recording. There are 10 new EXs because we get 5 EXs in each pack. That's happened with every pack thus far in the game. And out of that, there potentially are the 20 EXs to get a full playset of everything. And I have 7 EXs for the Dialga pack, including 3, which I have 2 of. And then I have 4 from the Palkia pack, including 2 of that. So so I did very well. And actually, I believe as soon as it dropped, I think I got a Wonder Pick for a Dialga EX. So that was a very nice start for me. So that's that's a really good, as a budget player, that I've gotten a good haul of EXs.
Yeah, I just looked up EX in my like in Pocket. I have it pulled up in front of me on my phone, and I see Voltorb with Big Explosion. I see Electivire, Regirock with Exoskeleton, and Drifloon with Expand. But yeah, I got a Dialga EX. I actually got the what's the art called? Not the golden secret rare one, but
The immersive.
Yeah, the immersive.
Oh, nice.
And it did not make me go deaf. I think they fixed that. Or maybe I just like turned off the volume on my phone. I don't remember, but that was good to hear. So that's cool. I don't really care about the art, but I do want the card. I just have one copy of that. I've really only been opening Dialga, I think. We have 2 Galady X's, though I've not played it yet. 2 Darkrai EXs. Oh, I guess I have Infernape EX. That's from Palkia, I think.
Yep. Yeah. I have
Yeah,
2 of
okay.
that.
Then I
Yep.
got so yeah, I have 1 Infernape EX, 1 Patrice EX, and 1 Mega EX. So yeah, those are all the only ones I've had. How many packs have you opened? I feel like I've opened around like 50 or 60.
I've opened more pack. Let me. I guess I should look at my pack
Oh yeah,
points,
I can
right?
just check out pack points.
So now I have to open up my app here. So I have as many cards from the Dialga pack of the EXs as I've pulled from the Pikachu pack, and I've opened like a million Pikachu packs. Not that many, but I've opened a lot of them, hoping for that elusive Pikachu that just. So I have a 285 pack points.
Okay, so I have 325. So I've opened a few more packs than you, but
Okay.
not completely different. I've, as I said, only opened, or really only opened Dialga. Opened some Palkia, maybe 10, maybe just a few. But
Yeah.
and I do believe Dialga is better a little bit. I think it's like, I mean, we'll talk about it as we go through, but
Right. Apart.
so what do you have, or what have you played from the new
Yeah.
set?
So let me just. I opened Dialga first because I do think it's better. But then as I got 7 of the EXs I needed out of the 10, I opened Palkia partly because there's good trainers, and honestly I think the trainers are a lot of good cards. But this is the EX I have that in theory I have 2 of I could play. I have 2 Yan Mega EX, but I am missing. I only have 1 Executor EX, like I think I mentioned that before. So Yan Mega's not really going to work well without that. I have 2
You
Galady
can
EX,
also play it with Dialga EX. I think
which
that's a way that's common, but
that's
you don't have to.
I have
Dialga,
1
so.
Dialga EX. So right. So I have 2 Yan Mega. It doesn't really seem viable. Now I have 2 Galades, but I don't have any Lucario, so that's not going to work. And then I have
You could do it some other way. You could do it with Gardevoir. They're the same evolution line. They
I
don't work
could
together, but you
I
can play them together.
yes, I could get it there that way. That is true. And I have 2 Infernapes, but I only have 1 Chimchar. I also think, honestly, when I look at Infernape, I think this is a bad Charizard EX, but we'll get to
Yeah.
that in a minute.
Well, I don't know. It's a little different. I
It is
mean, it is
different.
a lot cheaper.
But then what I have been playing is Darkrai EX. So I have 2 Darkrai's, and I have a couple ways I play it. I don't have 2 copies of the Magnezone yet, so I can't play it that way, which I'd love to do. I have
Yeah, I've been playing that. I crafted a Magneton
okay.
from the Pikachu pack, which I had 1, and so I was like, I really want to try this out, and it's fun. You said you played the Wheezing build, right?
I did a Weezing build, which was okay. I do have 1 Weavile EX, so I did play a 1/1 Weavile line because I did see that was a way people were playing it. Some, and the Weavile does bring some benefit. Obviously, you get a little less consistency. That deck was okay. Um, and then I've been playing.
Wait, you have less consistency with what, the Weavile?
Yeah, a 1/1
Than
line obviously makes it less
you
consistent.
said you put a 1. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean you could also could play it without the Weavile at all too. I didn't try that. It was okay. It was my thought. Then I switched to another build, which is with a Greninja and the Androgygen, which I've been enjoying that a lot. That's kind of my style deck. Send up the Druddigen and get your bench evolved, attach energies, just do damage to the active, and we have the really good Cyrus, which works really well with that deck.
Yeah, Cyrus is a card we need to talk about. I think it's. Well, we'll talk about it, but later. I was kind of sad when he said that the only deck he had played was Darkrai, because that's the only deck I've played from the new set. I've certainly played against a bunch and have been looking a little bit at the meta. I want to do at some point, like a top 10 list or like a ranking of the decks, but
Yeah.
I right now don't really know where to start with that. Apparently, Darkrai EX Magnezone, looking at Limitless here, has like the highest win rate by like it's over 60%, and it's gotten like a good chunk of plays, which is kind of absurd. Um, so yeah, that's like crazy. The deck, I played it some, and I want to talk about it some. It was like cool, I guess. I don't like it seemed decent. I actually might have won like all or almost all my games with it, but it definitely is not like super consistent. I mean, I think I was setting up decently, but let's talk about that with Pokemon communication. Though well, yeah, we'll talk about that. I think as you said, the trainers are quite good in this set, though they're good in like every set. a Mythical Island had some good trainers, and there's only one set or one pack, so there's less
Right.
trainers. Obviously, Genetic Apex had good trainers, and then obviously the promos are like super good. Well, some of the promos are super good.
Right. So do you want to talk about how do you want to go with the EXs? Do you just want to kind of go through the in
Yeah,
order?
no, let's talk about Darkrai first, I guess.
Okay.
So the Darkrai Weezing build, what were your thoughts on that so far?
So Darkrai, for people that aren't
Oh,
familiar
also,
with it.
sorry, one thing, Limitless, which is what we're looking at now, sometimes apparently has the energy types used in the deck because there's deck lists and you can open it, but it also says the energy type used in the deck because obviously if you're playing,
Oh,
um,
right. Like Darkrai Greninja, you don't want the water
yeah,
energy in the deck.
yeah. So, but it doesn't always say that for some reason. It might be like an option for the tournaments or something. I really don't know. Most of the time it's pretty obvious, but that is a thing that is useful.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's good. I'm glad you pointed it out to me because that is helpful. So, yeah, Darkrai. I mean, Darkrai, what it does, it's a basic EX, 140 HP, retreat cost of 2. It does Dark Prism. It does 80 for 3 energy. Darkness, colorless. But then it's got the ability Nightmare Aura. When you attach a darkness energy from your energy zone to this Pokemon, do 20 damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. So that 20 damage is a big part of how this deck works. So you're manually attaching turn after turn with this build. I think with most of the builds, right? Slowly getting energy into play and getting damage into play. So you have like the Wheezing, which has 110 HP, so that's not bad. You're not always getting one shot with that, which is you're hoping not to. And then Gas Leak, you poison your opponent's active Pokemon, get some damage counters on him. It can attack for 1 for 30. Although, which was one of the things I probably didn't fully perfect. When do I attack with Wheezing versus usually I would default to attach to Darkrai being the big attacker that I wanted to set up. So, and Cyrus, the ability to now choose the Pokemon you're going to gust up if it has damage is good. So you need ways to just get a little damage on things. It's like Darkrai EX's ability, Wheezing, something like that. So then you can choose your target later in the game, which makes these decks work.
Yeah, Cyrus, and I don't think I mean, you kind of said what it does, but exactly what it does is you switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has damage counters on it into the active spot,
Yeah.
meaning that you choose your opponent's Pokemon. So a few minor nitpicks that I'm going to complain about. One, Darkrai EX's animation is like, I mean, it's not that long or slow, but it definitely like, I wish it was like a little faster. It's not like there's any decisions being made, but it takes like
Yeah.
a little longer than I would like, but whatever, that's fine. And then Cyrus, this is something that's actually not an issue in Pokemon TCG Live. One of the things that Live does better than Pocket is that when you play cards where there's like only one possible option, because Cyrus you need to play, I believe, on your opponent's Pokemon, just like you'd play Misty on your own Pokemon, where you like choose it,
Right.
or you then play then tap on that Pokemon. But if there's only one choice, it still makes you choose. And sometimes people like, I don't know, it make the game a little faster. Certainly not in a bad way if it did that automatically, but that doesn't really matter. But this is kind of like, it's like Sabrina. Um, in some ways, they're very similar cards, but also obviously have differences that I think we'll get into more when we talk about more decks.
Right. Yeah. I mean, right. Cyrus is a card that's made a huge impact, I think. So I think the Wheezing build's okay to me. It's not. I played it some and I moved past it because I didn't feel like it was the best way that I was enjoying it. So I mostly played Darkrai Greninja. Um, and that one I'm having a lot of fun with, and that one also is over 60% win rate. So that one's
Oh, it is? Wow. Okay.
it's 60.93. Your Darkrai Magnezone is 61.39. That's what I'm seeing at the time of recording. So they're the top two
Okay.
decks out there. So we've done well that those were the EXs we pulled.
Yeah, Darkrai, and they're really similar as well. So they obviously both have the stage twos. Um, the Magnezone decks are really interesting. We need to talk about the that card some. I guess I'll talk about it now. Wait, so do you play the Spear Tomb in the Weezing build?
I did not, but I've seen people play it, so I'll have to take a look at that. I'm just playing the Drudgeon with the instead. I don't. I guess do you play it in?
Wait, you play it in the
I,
with Weezing? You play Druddion?
no,
Drudgeon?
no. Oh no, sorry. I didn't put. No, I was talking about the Greninja deck. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't put what was the Pokemon you asked me about again?
Weezing, or no, sorry, Spear Tomb.
I didn't put Spiritomb in the Weezing deck. I probably should try it that way and see how I like it. That
Yeah,
does
I just
10
like
to each, right? For 1 energy?
Yeah, I just looked at the first list and it had it in. So you just had Darkrai EX and Weezing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, and I am playing a 1/1 Weavile
Oh,
in that
Weavile,
deck
yeah.
because people are playing it that way as well. I figured I had the Weavile, I would give that a go. So
Oh, they are tossed. Wait, they're tossing in 1/1 Weezing, or they're just playing a
it's a
Darkrai
1/1
Weavile
Weavile,
separate.
and as well as Weezing and Darkrai.
Yeah. And have you seen that, or are you just saying that people are playing the Darkrai EX Weavile EX deck as well?
Well, people are playing a 2/2 Weavile list as well with
Yeah,
Darkrai, which we don't
without
have.
Weezing.
Right, without Wheezing. The people are
Yeah.
playing it with Wheezing with a 1/1. I know people are playing the classifications are a little bit weird for the Darkrai decks, as I recall. So there's a Darkrai Wheezing, there's Weavile Wheezing. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
it's but sometimes they play all three and how it gets split up. It was a little weird, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's because, and if anyone doesn't know this, it's the way Limitless works is it like automatically categorizes them, which is a little bit different than how it does it with the regular TCG. So you get some kind of weird stuff, and some decks that are like essentially exactly the same, categorized differently. But yeah, and these are also really good against me, or they're like good against me too. You actually hit it for weakness. You're not necessarily attacking as much. I mean, I guess you have a lot of turns when you're just like pinging with Darkrai EX, but that's not hitting weakness because it's just not an attack. But yeah, the Darkrai EX Greninja build, I guess it's like a slower build. You kind of sit behind. Um, wait, what attack? Oh, you have Druddion. This one plays Kangaskhan. So yeah, the deck seems like cool. You're kind of just chilling, building up damage, and then like a big swing with Dark. How many times do you attack with Darkrai EX? Do you think?
once, maybe twice. I mean, there's a lot of grass around too, so
Yeah.
partly
Oh,
because there's a lot of
ace.
Darkrai. Um, and I don't have the grass to play all the stuff, the grass pieces to play it. So obviously, if you're up against a grass deck, you're probably just attacking once. But you might attack with, you're giving up ideally two Druddigens, so that's like 40 damage, hopefully more if they can't one shot. Yeah, I'm not playing the tool to boost my HP. That could go in the deck. I don't have it there because you need to get these Pokemon out, right? So you need like
Yeah.
Pokemon communication and Leaf because the retreat costs are two. So I'm playing two Leafs, two Cyrus, two Pokeballs, a pretty straightforward list. So you're chilling. You're not taking a prize probably for like 4 or 5 turns. The way it is, and your opponents a lot of times retreating, getting around, and then the grass decks are also tough because they're healing up. So it really slows. You're almost making no progress because they undo all the damage with one Erica. So that's a dicey one. But other matchups is pretty good. Up against like a Charizard deck, Charizard sets up, you're just like, well, I guess I lost this game, so they're just gonna blow through me now in a couple turns. But that is what it is.
Yeah. So I played the other build. I guess I should try out the Greninja build because I have that. But so this is actually really weird because obviously Magneton evolves into Magnezone, but Magneton's actually like kind of harder to get than Magnezone. They're the same rarity except Magnezone's at I believe Magnezone's the only like 3 diamond card, which is not in a specific pack. It's in like all the packs.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but anyway, so that's like easier to get than the Magneton, which is really funny. But Magneton's ability lets you accelerate a lightning energy from the energy zone to itself. I assume most people probably know this, but um, you don't need to be playing lightning energy in your deck. So, or in like your energy zone normally to make use of this. So you just play darkness energy in your energy zone, and then you take the lightning energy, accelerate it to Magneton. Magneton's attack then does. Magneton does have an attack, and you could use it, but it's kind of bad. Or it's I guess it's really bad. Take into account its ability, it's just kind of bad. But your attack on the stage 2, you do 110 for lightning colorless. So it's only just one lightning. So you could use a bunch of darkness energies. But then you discard a lightning energy from this Pokemon. So if you attack a bunch of times, and eventually you could like run out of lightning energies and never be able to get them back. So that's something you need to keep in mind. But the idea is still to set up behind Druddion and Darkrai EX. You're not behind Darkrai EX, but you can place damage counters. I attach a bunch of Darkness energy, or place damage by attaching a bunch of Darkness energy to Darkrai EX, and have the Magneton also sitting on the bench, building up. Keep in mind, I guess you are vulnerable to disruption. Um, because obviously your opponent could hit you with like Mars or red card. They haven't really had that happen much, but you'll be sitting on the stage 2. You're like main attacker, because once you evolve it, then then the ability is now not there anymore. But it's a really cool deck.
Yeah, it's a deck that I would like to do. I went to build it, and I found out I didn't have 2 Magna Zones, but I will get that. That's in the Magna Zone is in which pack, by the way?
No, it's in both
Oh,
packs.
both packs. Okay, so
The stage 2, right?
yes, the Sage 2, because I already have the Magna 10 from before, and is this the old Magnemite that's playing as well? I'm not sure.
Uh,
I,
and it's the new one. I mean, I don't even know the difference.
yeah, I don't know if it
The other one
matters.
probably attacks for lightning energy, so you can just never. Yeah, the other one attacks for lightning, but it
Okay,
hardly matters probably. Um,
okay.
but
So
yeah, this deck's cool. Also, the list I have here only plays one Pokemon communication. It plays one Cyrus, one Sabrina as well. Obviously, Cyrus is really good with Greninja, so that's part of the reason why. Also plays a Giant Cape, the new one of the new tool cards.
yeah, I mean, in terms of the deck, like the decision making is interesting. Look, I think with these new cards, the deck's building's got a lot more interesting. Like, because I would obviously love a second Cyrus for a deck like this, where because you're putting damage on, they're retreating away. You want to call it up when you want. But Pokemon Communication is also really good with a stage 2 deck. It just increases the odds of getting the Magneton and the Magnezone. So you kind of, I would love to have 2 Cyrus. I'd love to have 2 Pokemon Communications, but then, what are you going to do? What do you cut? So we get, I think deck building's getting a little better in that you're having to make some really tough choices, more so than before these cards came out.
Yeah, it almost felt like you're trying to sometimes fill out decks. Um, Especially like say there was the Articuno EX deck, or I think there was a Zapdos EX, or like so you could just play like 2 EXs or
Right.
whatever, right? But now you can like there's so many good trainers, or there's like a good chunk of good trainers that do different things that are interesting. Um, yeah, this deck I just thought was really cool, and I actually learned that you could only have 3 types of energy in a deck. I didn't realize that was the thing, because normally it puts all the types of energy into the deck of all the
Yeah.
Pokemon you have, but it didn't have fire energy. It was just water, lightning, and darkness, or something like that. Because yeah, you can only have 3, which is a thing. I guess that makes sense. I mean, certainly it's not going to be very consistent, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then one of the complaints people have, or a request for change, the fact that it does the energy automatically, and you have to make sure you change it, like these decks that you're putting Drudgeon in as a wall to hide behind. Like, I think I had that the first time I played like a Darkrai Drudgeon deck. I had to concede my first game because all of a sudden I saw like a fire energy appear, and I was like, well, this isn't going to go well for me. So, right, because it automatically threw in all the types of energies that could be used, and I just wanted darkness in the deck. So it'd be, you just got to pay attention to that. You figure it out, but it's maybe they can improve that aspect of the deck building a little bit in the game.
Yeah, we'll see. Like what that's something that just kind of depends on what most people are doing. But right now, there are very few decks that are multi-type. That I mean, there's obviously like if you're playing a dragon deck, that would like kind of have to be multi-type. But
Right.
um, this deck, there's 3 different types of attackers, and you only play one type of energy in the deck. That from your energy zone normally.
Right.
But let's talk about Weavile X, Darkrai EX, I guess. I feel like that makes a lot of sense as well to talk about. Weavile X I think is a really cool card. It's a stage 1 EX. By the way, Darkness didn't have any EXs before the set. It's getting 2, so that's pretty fun. Scratching Nails for 1 Darkness on a stage 1. Weavile EX has 140 HP as well.
Yep.
But if your points active has any damage counters on it, it does 70. Otherwise, it's just going to do 30. You can actually pair this with Darkrai, plus then use Dawn, which is a supporter moving energy from your bench Pokemon to your active. So you attach it to Darkrai EX, and then move it to the Weavile EX to allow you to turn 1 going first, theoretically hit for essentially 90, which is like really insane. But I think Weavile EX is a cool card, and it's Darkrai EX we're talking about a bunch, but still, I think it is really cool.
Yeah. No, this
Very
is
cool.
one I'd like to give it a try. I don't think the win rate's as good on that, but it's pretty good. It's 54%, so can't complain.
Yeah,
And
a
and
lot of
so,
these decks have like really high win rates. Maybe like a good chunk do, and maybe it's not the best way to tell everything, but it does reflect some what the how good a deck is.
right, and I'm not going to go over it now. We'll get to it when we talk about it. But there's, we see different tools in these decks as well. Honestly, the tools are a lot better than I thought they were going to be. I think than you thought they were going to be too, based upon your comments from our last
Um,
podcast.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Yeah, I thought the tools. Well, I didn't know what they were gonna do. I thought it was gonna be really hard for them to make tools that were at the same level of power as the other trainers, and I stand by that. I think the tools are kind of insane. So,
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, that might be too good, right?
yeah, I don't have Rocky Helmet. I have Giant Cape because, as I said, I've been opening Dalga.
Yeah.
Dalga has Giant Cape, and yeah, it's been good. And I think Rocky Helmet's also been quite good. But anyways, then what do you want to talk about next?
All right. So, do we just want to kind of scroll through the list here of cards, or do you want to hit some
Let's
of
talk
the?
about let's talk about Dalga. I mean, the first one is Yan Mega EX, but I feel like I don't think there's much to say about Yan Mega Executor, is there? I don't think I've ever seen this
No.
deck. I've been like playing some. I haven't been playing it an absolute ton, but maybe I have, and I just like forgot. I feel like Yan Mega EX. It's like this very. I think it's a really unique Pokemon, or it's not like the most unique, but it's three colorless. It's attack cost
Right.
and just 120 discard a random energy from this Pokemon, and then um, it has 140 HP as well. It's lightning weak as well. There are like so many Pokemon that are lightning weak. But it's all colorless, which is the biggest thing with this deck. Which means it doesn't really have synergy with grass outside of like Erica and stuff being able to heal it. But um, I
Right.
think the more interesting thing is the Dialga EX deck.
Yeah.
Which I have seen, and I've seen a bunch of Dialga EX. I've seen a bunch of different things. You have Yanrega EX, which you can also Dialga EX for 2 metal. You do 30, take 2 metal from your
Uh, are you there? I somehow lost you.
what?
Do you hear me?
Oh, yep, you're back. Do you hear me?
Yes, I do. I stopped hearing you as well. So you didn't hear me, and I didn't hear you, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, no, I was hearing you when you were talking. Anyways, we're back.
All right.
Okay,
Somehow I was searching for like Dialga in the Limitless page, and I don't know. I did something
okay.
badly.
Well, that'll be editing 10 types issue later on. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about Dialga EX, which accelerates 2 metal to any type of Pokemon, which is
Right.
really interesting. I was gonna say this is like I guess the first Pokemon that does this, but there's another card we'll talk about as well that does this, I believe. There might be more, but I can just think of two right now. But Dialga EX and one other one. But you this is the main one though. It's two energies, which is a bunch. Um,
Yeah.
this is kind of like Moltres EX, except it is two energies, which is a big deal. The damage isn't great. It's not like I don't think it makes up for the fact that it is two energies, but um, it's still decent. It has a lot of HP, and then can power up on Mega EX, which is a solid colorless attacker
Right.
with different weakness hitting and the weakness it has, and it can power up UEX as well, which is another colorless attacker.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Because the problem with Yanmega, not only is it three energies to attack, you're discarding an energy from that Pokemon as well. So you can't be powering up something on the bench, assuming you're surviving. You're hoping you're surviving with a stage one EX. So a couple turns. So yeah, I think you kind of have to have Dialga with it. I would imagine. That yeah, Dialga. The fact that it takes two energies to power up the Dialga, that's my big concern with Dialga. So obviously, I do want to try out Dialga because I think it's good, but two energies just is it going to be too slow? That's my concern. How often is Dialga? Are you going to be a turn behind the whole game? That's my big concern with Dialga.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right now the game's almost like a little bit slower where people are setting up more and then setting up these more powerful attackers. Um, though I do think Pikachu EX is still very good as well, which is like quintessential fast deck, which we'll talk about. But Shaman is a card also that I just want to mention. It is in this list that I pulled up as well.
Yeah,
Healing 10 from each of your Pokemon, which is nice. Yeah, Mega EX only has 140 versus Dialga EX has 150, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I think Dialga EX is pretty solid. I mean, it's not like amazing, but Metal. This is the only Metal EX. And Metal's like super bad. I mean, it's not super bad right now. It was really bad. It was kind of like the laughing stock of Pocket, in my opinion, for a while because it just didn't like have cards. But I mean, it had like a few cards, but the other like I guess the main attacker is the Mel Metal, which is like okay. Though I don't think it's a super strong. Like it's an okay deck. It's an okay. It's like a Elemental is pretty tanky, I guess. But it's not a Pokemon that's like gonna live all these attacks or swing for absurd damage. It's a decent Pokemon though. It takes 20 less and has over 30 HP, and you could attach Giant Cape, for example, or Rocky Helmet to get a bunch of damage off of that. Um, well, also Dawn, I guess, is useful. Dialga EX cannot accelerate to itself. So that means you'll be attacking turn 4 with heavy impact if you want to, or your fourth attachment, I guess, which could even be turn 5. But with Dawn, you can get that a little bit faster. So on turn 3/4, which isn't like super fast, but heavy impact is decent. On Dialga EX, heavy impact apparently is also the attack on Melmetal, which it does a little bit more damage and has a different attack cost too.
All right, I didn't know that were doing that with the same name but different things. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Dialga, it's basically there for the first attack, though, right? I mean, you occasionally going to use the second attack. I assume generally you're not using the second attack, though. Um,
Yeah.
that seems like a solid deck. I'm looking here. That's Dialga. What Bastiodon seems to be the second Dialga deck here.
Oh,
Um, I didn't know what
wait,
that.
where's it?
Its win rate is 50%. It hasn't been played a lot though.
Wait, where? No, like where is it on the
Oh,
list? I
number
don't see
number
it. Maybe
50. I
number 50. Aren't there other? Well, there's Dialga.
I'm doing
There's
this by win.
UEX
I'm
Dialga.
doing it by win rate. I have it sorted by win rate.
Oh,
So
okay.
everything else is below 50%. Yeah, MUEX Dialga is more played than that, but it's 48%.
Yeah,
Dialga Melmetal is like 48%. So,
yeah,
um,
and Yon Mega EX Dialga is 50, 54, 55. So that's pretty good.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, anyways, I think Dialga is like cool. I thought it was gonna be really good. I still think it's like a good card, but I think it's like doesn't have the stuff around it needs. On the other side of things, you have Palkia. Palkia Vaporeon is really good, I guess. I'm not super familiar with the other lists. Like there's a Starmie EX Palkia EX list. I don't know too much about it. Palkia EX is a really interesting Pokemon, I guess, because its second attack is 150 for 4, and then you discard 3 waters from it. And it does 20 to each your opponent's benched Pokemon. The spread is like, I mean, I guess it's bad. It's like nice to have, but it's not amazing. I think it's kind of like I haven't played against this deck much, to be honest, but and I definitely don't have it, but um, it's kind of like Articuno EX's spread, where it's like not the main focus at all of it, but it does help a little bit. But 150 is obviously quite good. And then you have the new Manaphy. The new Manaphy is like actually really good. I thought it was decent. But I was like, oh, 50 HP isn't good. It's bad. It could be worse, but it's certainly not good. But you choose 2 your bench Pokemon, which can be of any type, just like Dialga EX. And for each of those Pokemon, take a water energy from your energy zone and attach it to that Pokemon. This is kind of like Moltres CX again. It's 2 energies guaranteed, but they are two different Pokemon. However, pairing that with Vaporeon, which lets you move energies from your benched water Pokemon to your active water Pokemon as often as you like during your turn, this means that it doesn't matter really where the energies go at all. So then it's probably actually, I guess, better that they're spread out. I guess if the Vaporeon gets knocked out, then it's bad. But still, Manaphy with Vaporeon and Palkia EX is like really good, I think. You
yeah,
do need a bunch of stuff going on. You need Manaphy with 2 Pokemon like really quickly. You need to get the Vaporeon. You do need the Palkia EX to actually attack with, but it's pretty efficient and can hit really hard and can actually do that and somewhat stream attacks. It's not like you're just completely stranded after you attack, kind of like how I think we thought. I mean, I believe we saw Palkia X without Manaphy at first.
yeah. I mean, the one Palkia deck, the top Palkia deck uh, with Greninja does not have
Win rate,
Manaphy.
win rate.
Yeah, or
Okay.
the highest. Yeah, I mean, look, like we thought Dialga was gonna be really good coming in. The Dialga deck is like the sixth highest one, but there's 2 Palkia builds better than the Dialga build. There's Palkia Greninja is just below. That's the third deck, right below the 2 Darkrai decks, the Magnezone and Greninja, and then and then Palkia Vaporeon is also like 2% win rate better than Dialga as well. So
Yeah, I will say a lot of these decks don't have that many plays.
yeah.
Um, Palkia X Vaporeon does have a lot of plays, so it's probably better than Palkia X Greninja if I had to guess by a bit. Because sometimes decks that don't have a lot of plays do really well, or sometimes they do really badly. They have more variants. which means that they can have these higher or lower win rates. But anyways, I think Palkia EX is like really solid. Um, and Water obviously is a really good type. That's a big big reason why.
Right, because we have Misty is a big part of it, right? And obviously Manaphy makes it better. With water, you can attack with Greninja if you want to attack with it besides the pinging. So it gives you some nice stuff. So Palkia is definitely, yeah, a very good EX there. So um, for sure. So those are the two. Those are the poster cards, right? Palkia and Dialga, both very solid cards. What do you want to go to next?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You said like the poster, the ones at the front of the pack. I've actually gotten asked by this by you and by someone else. So if you don't know, you can still get the cards from the. You can like open
Uh,
older packs and like craft older packs. So when I open Pocket, I see the Mythical Island Mew pack, the Dialga, the Space-Time Smackdown pack, and then the Palkia pack. But then you can just click in the pack, and then in the lower right hand corner, you can say select other booster packs to see the other packs. Um, which wow, the set like names are all the same colors or very similar colors, which I didn't realize. But regardless, then you can see the other packs. I've actually gotten multiple questions about it. So yeah, that you can do that. But I think the yeah, I want to talk about it. So we're just looking at water. What beats water? I think lightning. I think lightning
right.
is really good. Um, I think Pikachu EX Pachirisu EX is amazing. I'm a big fan of Pikachu EX. It's really been the deck I've been playing since I got it. The main deck, Pikachu EX, is like super good. It's in my opinion the best card, or it wasn't the best card in the game, best like Pokemon attacker in the game. For certainly before this set. Pikachu EX, if you don't know, it does essentially 90 for two, but you do need to fall a bunch of lightning Pokemon. Um, Also, basic EXs are good, right? I think most people would agree with that. I assume you would agree with that.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes I think Darkrai successful early on too. You get it out there. Basic EXs means you get going, right? And because we have Pokeball, so the odds of getting the card we need in hand are much greater, much more with the basic.
Yeah, and so Lightning just had two basic EXs for a while, Pikachu EX and Zapdos EX. Zapdos EX, quite frankly, is not that good. It's okay. And I guess it's like right now this isn't even the most played build of Pikachu. The most played build is the Zipstrike build, which the people are not playing Pachirisu EX, which I think is like I have not played it yet. So maybe it's like actually just like bad and I just like I'm being silly, but I kind of doubt that. Um, and also these decks are like less uniform. Oh, apparently this one is, but it's like playing one tool. But then
Well, all right.
Pikachu EX.
So,
What do you
so let
say?
me ask you here. So Pikachu EX for two energies does 30 per bench lightning Pokemon. You should get three. Obviously, you want three, so you do 90. To me, is Pachirisu just a worse Pikachu EX? Because it's got the same HP,
Um,
120. It's got
yeah.
the same retreat cost, the same energy cost as two. It does 40 if I don't have a tool, and if I have it. So first, I'm going to only do 40, and I'm usually definitely doing more than that with Pikachu. At least I would if I had Pikachu. You've obviously done it many times. And then even if you have the tool, you're only doing 80. You're still doing 10 less than Pikachu EX. So is this just a like bad
Um,
Pikachu EX?
I think it is a bad Pikachu EX, but I think a bad Pikachu EX is still an amazing card. I think Pikachu EX is that good.
Okay.
Zapdos EX is like probably your second attacker in the deck before Pachirisu EX came out, and it's like or is it? I mean, you have those like random stage ones, with Zebstrika, Electrode, Raichu, which are like okay, but they're usually like attack. Also, like I haven't really played with the Electrode Bill. I've never really seen it that much, but I think it's like I don't really see people attack with that. You could attack if you also are playing Lieutenant Surge, but Lieutenant Surge you want to do the big Raichu play, but that's not amazing. Let me guess it is amazing because it can like win you games and it's like a ton of damage. But
Right.
and then you have, but it's not like it's a once per game thing really. You could do like some crazy magneton combos. We need to get like super lucky, and I just don't really see that happen. And then there's like Dedenne and Pinkerton. Then there's Obstrike, which you can like kind of ping around.
Right.
There's apparently Galvantula and Joltik are what some people are playing. There's a bunch of things, and Electabuzz, they're okay, but not particularly good. But Pachirisu EX is a very solid. It's just 10 less, which can be meaningful, but probably isn't that meaningful that often. And you do have a tool as well to so like you're playing a bunch of tools and they can make your Pikachu X or Pachirisu X better. You really need the tool on Pachirisu EX, but I think it's probably a little easier to get the tool on than the full bench with Pikachu EX. They're not that much easier. Um, assuming you're playing 4 tools, 2 Giant Capes, and 2 Rocky Helmets, which is I think what you kind of have to do. And is good. I think the tools are really good. So Giant Cape, now's I think the perfect time to talk about them.
Yep.
My Giant Cape gives you plus 20 HP, and that's good. Like blue is a supporter. That's it's honestly kind of bad, but right? Would you agree?
Yeah, although as someone who offer a lot of times Mewtwo EX is been my main deck. You see a lot of mirrors. You need blue in the deck.
Yeah, but Mewtwo usually plays. Wait, so do you play blue?
Um, blue, which does that's the one that does you take 10 less, right?
Yeah, wait. So do you play it in Mewtwo EX?
I do. Now maybe yes, I put one copy of Mewtwo EX because of the mirror, right? So that you don't get one shot um,
Hmm.
by your opponent, or you also get one shot by a Mew EX as well, right? Which is
Hmm.
with other decks besides Mewtwo can play as well, since it's colorless. But maybe Giant Cape is the better card now, right? That could be
Yeah,
the
especially
case.
because now your opponent could just Giovanni to counter the blue, but they can't do that to Giant Cape. So I think Giant Cape's like better than blue. Also, blue's on that one turn. So like, what if they like Sabrina or something?
Right.
And then like the blue just well, no, that's not like exactly true. They're still gonna actually hit into the Pokemon that it's gonna take 10 less, but the 10 less probably isn't like meaningful necessarily on that other Pokemon. It might be, but it's probably not. Um, but I think Giant Keep is like quite good. Can't really be dealt with, or like there's one or two ways to get rid of it. I don't remember what they are. I remember there's like one attack, or it might be two, and they're okay, but they're just okay at best. This list plays Rotom, which does 50 if your opponent's active has a tool, which I think is okay. But I mean 50 for one's absolutely good, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's the card you should start chucking in everything. And then Rocky Helmet is 20 for hit into, which is Druddian, which is like one of the one of the like premier single point Pokemon in the game, and it's just a tool that like gives you almost all the upside of Druddian on like every Pokemon.
Yeah, no, these tools are good. And Rocky Helmet, it does 20 damage when you're hit into, and I think that's the same as the IRL tool, right? Is that the same damage
Yeah,
level?
I think so.
So
Yeah,
and basically the pocket tool cards have all been nerfed versions, basically of the TCG.
yeah.
This one is
Giant Cape is
actually
also the same as the actual card, I think.
okay. Now there are better
Giant Cape's like really old, or not like really old, but
right. The newer versions, similar cards are better than Giant Cave, I think. But
yeah.
but
Well, Rocky Helmet's it is two, but I guess yeah, no, they're like the same age. The original Rocky Helmet, which is like, I mean, Rocky Helmet's not very good in the regular TCG, but it's a card that like I've seen pop up from time to time.
right. But I think these were actual TCG card stats here, and which they haven't done for other cards. So they brought them on the tool, so it makes these tools a little better relative than some of these other cards, I think, right? And then there's also the third tool, Lumberry, but I think
Which is I think also like the regular TCG card, except it's bad. It might be better here, um, because it like especially in this instance, removing those could be nice. That's what it does, but it's like once as well. I think it like discards itself, which is like
yeah,
again like not so good. Um, Yeah, but I think Pachirisu EX is kind of insane. Well, it is a card. I think it's just decent, like to good. But I think within Pikachu EX, I think like the tools are so good, you're not like hurting yourself to play them. And then if you're not playing these random evolutions, now you have deck space for the tools. So I think the Pikachu X plus Pachirisu EX is like I think it might. I think it's really good. I haven't played with it yet. I played lots of Pikachu EX, and this can't make the deck like worse, because it's like and you're just like putting stuff in that's like good. So I'm really looking forward to playing with the deck. It's Pachirisu GX right now is the card I want to pull, although I don't have Rocky Helmet, so those are really important too. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that deck because I think it is quite good. Which people probably don't want to see it be that good because it's not the most interesting to most people probably, but I'm as I said I think it's good.
no, in the TCG, big basic decks are always a good thing, basically. So they set up and such. So and the giant cape because you're sitting at 120 HP for the Pachirisu and the Pikachu. So getting to 140, I think is going to be helpful in a lot of situations. So uh, you know, Pikachu EX is still good. It's gotten better with Pachirisu plus these tools, and these two tools are very very good cards. They're amongst maybe the top 10 cards from this set. We're not going to rank them as such, I don't think, but they might be there.
Yeah. And then I guess let's talk about some of the other trainers as well. So Cyrus is like really good. Um, in a lot of decks. I don't think it's like always. It's not like always better than Sabrina. Sabrina's still a card that you should be playing in some decks.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of decks. Like Cyrus isn't pushing it out, but I think it is a little bit better.
No, I think obviously if you have a deck that's like chipping away with damage, which the Darkrai does, like Drudgeon does, like Greninja does, then you probably just want two Cyrus, and then you might add Sabrina, right? But for a regular deck, if you had two Sabrinas, you might probably want to play one Cyrus, one Sabrina, right? Because late game you want the Cyrus to get that like EX off the bench to win the game. So having rather than boss for game, now we have Cyrus for game in within pocket.
Yeah. And then Pokemon communication. I played with it some. I've seen some people play with it, but I feel like it's been a little worse than I was expecting. Like it's decent. Maybe it's not actually worse than I was expecting, but you need a lot of Pokemon. Pokemon communication is a card that I think we're both really big fans of in the regular TCG, and it's certainly pretty similar here. Unlike Pokeball, Pokeball is like completely different, which is weird. But Pokemon communication, I think is like good. I don't think it's like insane, but I think it's good. It's the first like new universal like setup card outside of research and Pokeball as well, which is really interesting.
Right, it's the first card we've had that can give us access to evolutions for any type. So that as well as any Pokemon. Well, Pokemon Communication is a good example of how they've nerfed the cards for Pocket. Right, Pokemon Communication for the regular game is you put a Pokemon right on top into your deck, and then you search your deck for any one Pokemon you want. Right, so it gets
Mhm.
you the Pokemon for sure. Here, you put a Pokemon in your deck and you get a random Pokemon. Now, let me ask you, I've been playing it. I play it in my Darkrai deck, so I've done it a bunch. I've never gotten the same Pokemon back again
Yeah, I
yet.
was actually gonna ask you that question. So
So
I don't know. I was gonna test it at some point. Didn't get around to do it. Um, I assume it could, like in the regular TCG, it can.
right,
But
I mean, based upon the wording, it doesn't say that it can't, but I've done it probably at least 10, 12 times. I'm thinking, and it hasn't happened yet. So I it seems like it should have happened. So, but
yeah,
yeah. So you don't know. So you haven't heard
no,
anything
I'll
yet.
test it. The way you could test it is just have a deck and make sure you don't have any other Pokemon in your deck and just use it. Um, yeah, but I have not done that yet.
Yeah. So,
And
but
then
but that's a good
yeah,
card.
I
Go ahead.
I need another Cyrus because I haven't been opening the Valkyrie packs as well.
Yeah, that's why, like I said, at some point I started opening the other packs just because the trainers really, right? Because the thing is, you want a second Cyrus, you can spend 70 pack points, but if those pack points become so valuable, or burning them early to get trainers is something I don't want to do. I think that's something I've kind of learned is not what I want to do. So, Pokemon, so those four trainers super good. Pokemon Communication, the two tools, Cyrus. We've got
I think Mars is quite good. It's kind of like red card. Your opponent shuffles their hand to their
yeah.
deck, draws a card for each of the remaining points needed to win. I've been hit by it a few times. It's been annoying. It's not like crippling, but it definitely can be a swing, specifically to like get rid of Cyrus or Sabrina or maybe some of these other really impactful trainers. Um, and so I think it's not amazing, but it's definitely in that like mid tier of trainer. Um, yeah, that you could play in decks if you like it, and you don't have to. It's up to you.
Right. It's an okay card. It's not as good as those other trainers we were talking about, I don't think. It's probably it puts you down to a very small hand late game, but which is potentially very good. But by that point, you've probably drawn a lot of your deck. So if you've been able to play a lot of cards, then the Mars doesn't hurt you so bad. If the more Mars is around, I think you're going to want to try to play and thin your hand to the extent you can, right? So that you it just help get rid of cards you don't want to see back later as much as possible. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's I've been hit with Mars a few times, and it hasn't thrown me completely off, but it slowed the games down some for me.
Yeah. And then I think I have just one more deck I want to talk about. I don't know if
Okay, well,
you do, and obviously we're
no, I mean, look, Dawn is
nearing it.
worth mentioning, by the way. It just you
Yeah.
mentioned it before, moving in energy from the bench to the active, and yeah. So go ahead. with the deck. There was one or two cards I might want to talk about, but
Yeah, so I want to talk about the Cynthia Garchomp deck as the single point deck. Garchomp's a stage 2, it's a dragon type, and its attack cost is water fighting, which is really interesting because this is a dragon type. We've only seen a few. The main one was Dragonite, which is 4 energies, 2 which are colorless. So you have a lot of wiggle room. You don't have wiggle room here. So I've seen this deck a few times. Its ability lets you discard a card from your hand to draw an extra card. It's the first draw engine we've seen, but it's like not that good because it's a stage 2. It's not bad. I mean, it's nice to have, and it allows you to kind of guarantee get your Cynthias at the end of the game, which increase your damage by 50 because normally you just do 100. It's like okay. It's not amazing, but it's certainly fine. Um, yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to say about the deck, or if you've
no,
really seen it much.
I haven't run into it. I don't think, and I think we both were working on the challenges, which again they've done a good job with Pocket. You do those whatever the solo missions, you get a bunch of uh, what tickets, so you can get a whole bunch of pack. The pack points to get a bunch of packs. So, which you see a bunch of the new cards in that too. I don't believe that was there, and I don't think I've run into this deck at all. So I don't really have anything to say.
Yeah, it might have been there. I don't remember. And then Bidoof is actually another card that's kind of interesting. It's attack for 2 colors. Have your opponent's active Pokemon's HP, remaining HP rounded down. This is also like a thing that can only be done in Pocket, I guess. And this is like theoretically really strong, like a ton of damage. But also you're probably swinging into your opponent's like powered up EX, which is like not gonna end well for Bidoof. But um, you could do theoretically just like a really big chunk of damage with this, which is kind of insane. And then also I want to talk about the Regigigas. Do you think the wording on this card is awkward? It says this attack does more damage equal to the damage this Pokemon has on it, or do you think that just seems fine?
No, it is awkward. It's not the way they would have put it in the regular TCG, right? This attack does
Yeah,
more damage. Well, I mean, I get what it means. It seems a little
yeah.
odd, right? It seems like it kind of
Yeah, it can't
stutters.
be. Normally, it would be based on damage counters on it, like something like that. But there's no
Oh,
damage counters. They can't say that. But I wonder if it's just weird to us. So actually, tell us in the comments if you're still listening at this point, what you if you think this sounds weird, especially if you don't play the regular TCG, because this is not at all how it would be written in the regular TCG, and it just seems kind of like what repetitive or stuttering.
yeah, feels a little odd. So yeah, I thought the Bidoof was interesting, right? Having your opponent's HP is potentially very meaningful. I was wondering that, and then assuming you don't get knocked out, which is probably probably not going to happen. But then you can attack with a barrel the next turn for 60. So that's
Yeah, which is like not very good, right? But
right. But the idea is if your opponent has one of those super tanky, like stage 2 EXs, having the HP is obviously potentially very meaningful. So I'm not, it's kind of an interesting thing. Probably not overly successful, is what I'm
yeah.
thinking.
And then there's also the fossil stage twos are like kind of insane, I guess. Like they're not super. I don't know if they're good enough, but
Yeah. What are they
Rampardos
again?
here. Rampardos the fighting one, and then Baston the metal one. So the Rampardos does 130 for one fighting, and it has a which is like kind of insane, right? That's like
Yes.
that's really good. And then if your opponent is knocked out by damage from this attack, does 50 to itself, which is like you certainly don't want to do that, but that doesn't seem like the biggest downside for just like doing massive damage for one energy on a
Right.
single point Pokemon. You could pair this with Lucario to do more, but it's still a lot even if you don't have Lucario. I mean, I think Ramparda seems pretty good. False thing is a little awkward though, obviously.
Yeah, it's a stage 2 and it evolves from a fossil. So you've got a lot of deck space. I guess you either you want Druddigen, something like that to hide behind. You want I don't know what you do. Far-fetched. You want to do the one that draws you a card. I don't know what you're doing, or just go with the Lucario for the other line. I'm not sure because obviously you
Yeah.
have to have a basic Pokemon.
Yeah, but you can afford to attach other places as well because it is just one energy, which I think is like decent.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Bastodon, which says it has 160 HP, and its ability says if any damage is done to this Pokemon by attacks, you flip a coin of heads, you take 100 or less damage from that attack, which probably means you're like stopping essentially all the damage from that attack. And it has 160, as I said, 160 HP. So if you get lucky off of coin flips, you're almost invincible. Um, and even if you like just get like okay luck, you still should be able to tank a good chunk of hits. Its attack's not very good. It's 80 for 3 in a stage 2 fossil, but is still like a pretty interesting card here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the energy cost of the damage level is not great. So I don't know. Do you pair it with Dialga EX then? I'm not sure what you do with it.
Yeah, I think you actually mentioned that earlier. You said it
Oh
had
yeah, it was
50,
one of
but
the
it has
decks
the
out there, right?
50%
It
win
was.
rate,
Yep.
which seems, not the best, but it's it seems kind of interesting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, overall the set I think it's solid. Like there are some EXs that just aren't super good. Like I don't think the Lady X is that good. Do you think it's good with Lucario? I feel like it's not
It
that
doesn't
good.
sound great to me. No. Um, I mean, I think of all the, I think the fact that we both pulled Darkrai is probably the best of the EXs is my thought right now. So obviously want to get more to
Yeah.
give them tries. Like obviously Palkia is certainly a really solid, and Dialga is as well.
Yeah, I think all the basics are the best, which is kind of how it tends to go. I think Pachirisu EX is also kind of insane. Um,
I, I just want to mention two other cards quickly because I know we've been going long here. So one is Ambipom, and from the theme deck, you were a huge regular TCG theme deck format. You were a big fan of Ambipom. It's
yeah,
similar,
it was really good. This is not similar. What?
but it's not bad. It's a colorless energy. Well, it's very different, but the 90 HP stage one. You flip two coins, does 40 for your head. So it's not bad, right? Or it is bad.
Um, is it? I mean, I guess if you get double heads, it's good, but that's like I don't know,
Okay.
that's like Dodrio or like
All
yeah.
right.
I mean,
So
it is like other Amber Palms, but not the theme deck Amber Palm.
yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, but how
Oh,
about
but the APOM is I think that might was this the theme deck APOM art?
You
It
think
might
that
be.
the basic is the
Yeah, yeah,
art from the
that
theme deck?
is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. Getting a little nostalgia there. But Porygon Z, okay, someone that doesn't get the
Oh,
love
this
they
card.
should. So Buggy Beam, it's a stage two, and it's 3 energy. That's not ideal, but does 80 damage. It's not the best. But then you change the type of energy that your opponent generates next turn to one of the eight random types. So that's pretty interesting, I got to say.
Yeah, this seems really funny. I feel like it's really bad because by the time you like do this, because your opponent will see this coming from like a mile away,
Yes.
and even if they don't, like obviously they want energies on their Pokemon, um, and so this probably like won't like do anything to them. It seems like super niche, but it seems really funny. But yeah, they'll probably have energy on their regular Pokemon, and this isn't like that strong. Theoretically, you can kind of stop them from powering up anything for the rest of the game too. Like they could theoretically
Right.
randomly get into the energy that they need, but that's not likely. This seems really funny, and I would have loved to see this on a previous evolution, but
Yeah,
or maybe not for 3 energy.
right, a stage two and three. I think you have to have something like Dialga or something to power it up, right? I'm guessing.
Maybe I don't know.
But you also have to evolve to the stage two. So it's yeah, it's interesting, right? If you get it set up, your opponent's not going to be able to attack most turns, unless if they're not powered up already. So
Well, but they probably are already powered up, right? Because this is
yeah,
like turn 3
you're
at
you're
least.
bringing me down here. You're being too negative. So
I wanted this guy to be good too, but
okay,
it seems funny. I'll probably try it out at some point, but
well,
I might
yeah.
not actually. We'll see.
I'm glad I mentioned it because it's a very silly card, right? It's an interesting one, even if it's not very effective, which is usually how these kind of silly. It's a meme card, right? That's really what it
Yeah.
is.
Also, I know you're a fan of Rotoms, so they got all those in the set. None of them are like really interesting at all, but they're all here.
They're all here, so I can try some Rotom, and we have tools, so which is exactly what I love to play. So
Yep. But anyways, we hope you enjoy the podcast episode. Consider checking us out on YouTube at 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil and on podcasting platforms as well. But if you have any questions, comment down below on our YouTube channels. We do it there. If you comment somewhere else, we probably won't see it. Or if we will, we'll see it like 3 months later or something.
yeah.
But also consider subscribing, all that good stuff. We hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
All right, take care.